Hi everyone, it's Phil here from Ashland Leather, and I'm back again with another irregular sale. Everything we're about to see in the video today is discounted for either cosmetic reasons in the stitching or maybe some small scuffs and scratches. And then there's also a couple shop-worn items that will have an extra discount. And everything that you're about to see is up and available on our website, ashlandleather.com right now. And we're going to start off with what I think is the best item in the irregular batch here. This is 100% Color 8 Shell Cordovan on our Giant of the Fox. We have Color 8 Shell Cordovan for the exterior as well as Color 8 Shell Cordovan for the interior. All of the 100% Shell Cordovan Fox wallets have hand-stained edges. We've matched the edge stain color to the Color 8 Shell Cordovan on the outside. It's a dark brown burgundy shade. And this particular example is an irregular. There are some very small scuffs and scratches that might be hard to see. I should mention that there are 4 of the 100% Color 8 Shell Cordovan Giant of the Foxes available. Here's a look at the second one of them. And here's a look at the third, just to give you a sense of what we're talking about here. Very, very small imperfections. And often these types of imperfections are something you'd see after just a couple minutes of wearing them. So they're a pretty good deal. All of our irregular wallets are also guaranteed for life. So if you ever have any issues with the stitching popping out or things falling apart, definitely just let us know and we can either fix it or replace it. Another Giant of the Fox to show you a little bit different here. Color 8 Shell Cordovan on the outside with Color 8 Horsehide Latigo for the interior. And I love Horsehide Latigos for the interiors of the Giant of the Fox because it keeps the thickness just to be about the perfect size. Let's keep it moving here. We got a lot to look at, about 50 items in the batch today. And this is a special leather that we don't normally offer. This is our work shoe butt Chrome Excel. And it was actually a little bit of a unique challenge for us to learn this leather to make stuff. So the leather itself is pretty dense and thick. In fact, I made a watch strap out of it because it was so dense and thick. I thought it would make a perfect unlined strap. And part of our learning was we found that all the thicknesses and tempers of the leather weren't appropriate for the Giant of the Fox. So if you look here, this has really pulled the interior pattern pieces of the wallet together. So it starts to get a little bit like crinkled looking just because the backside here is so thick and dense. You can even see it doesn't want to keep its shape. But this is one of those leathers that once you wear it, even just for a couple days, it will start to form and mold around everything that you put inside. So we do have 2 of these available as well. And moving along, 100% Cobalt Blue Dublin here. This is a really nice leather, and sometimes in the videos it's a little bit difficult for me to show you the vibrant undertones that the Cobalt Blue Dublin has. It's a little bit more aqua and blue underneath that surface color, and the surface color is a little bit darker and a little bit more navy. So if you see as I pull underneath the leather here and I rub my finger underneath, a little bit more of those aqua blue tones are revealed. So again, on the exterior we have Cobalt Blue Dublin steer hides, and on the interior we've paired it up with some horse hides also in the Cobalt Blue Dublin. Here's a fun one that I'm going to have to discount a little bit extra. This is 100% reverse Color 8 Shell Cordovan. It's a nice caramely sort of reddish brown shade. But the reason we've discounted this one, we've got some cracking in the spine. This is something that you see in veg tan leathers sometimes if the leather was dried maybe just a little bit too hot or wasn't properly nourished. So there are very small little cracks in the spine that you can kind of see here. That won't go away. That's always going to be there. On the interior, we also have reverse Color 8 Shell Cordovan with all the random dye marks I find to be very intriguing. Here's a Giant of the Fox in black Dublin with a black horsehide interior. This is our second most popular wallet actually, and you can see the irregularity here in the leather. Little bits of dull spots, slightly a little bit more gray, and you might be able to see that pretty easily. Little scuffs and scratches as well. Moving along here to another wallet. This is a beauty, and it's sad to see this one because we're not able to make this right now. We're not able to currently source the thin natural Chrome Excel for the inside of this 100% natural Chrome Excel Giant of the Fox. This one has some very small scuffs and scratches as well. And I'll give you a look at the interior one more time. Here's another Giant of the Fox in sort of a variant of natural Chrome Excel. This is a color that we call burnt ivory. And you can see it's a little bit darker and more brown on the surface, but it does retain that light natural color for the undertones. So burnt ivory, again, very similar to natural Chrome Excel. The difference with this one is we have a black horsehide interior, which actually is substantially thinner than the 100% Chrome Excel wallet. Here's another Giant of the Fox, color number 8 Dublin. It's a very cool color, and it's pretty difficult for me to show this color on the videos here. It's a really nice dark brown burgundy shade, almost like an eggplant. And you can see again, as I rub my finger underneath the leather, a little bit more of these burgundy tones come about. On the outside here, we have a cream color stitching that hints at the natural latigo interior of this Johnny the Fox. Here's another Johnny the Fox in natural chrome excel again. This is actually, I believe, an old stock from us. This is our mock horsehide latigo from a long time ago. A little bit more orangey and yellow for the interior of this Johnny the Fox. Here's another Johnny the Fox with a two-tone combination. We've got cobalt blue Dublin on the outside with a cream color stitching. On the interior, we also have that natural latigo, which I love. Here's another Johnny the Fox, 100% shell cordovan, but this is black shell on the outside with reverse black on the inside. And that's a really great look. There's some rough spots in the outside of the shell on this one that might be a little bit difficult to see, but it's nothing that's going to break the wallet. It's sort of just a cosmetic issue. I'll give you a look at the interior. I love reverse shell cordovan for the interiors of wallets, and especially as something like this on a reverse black. It's just such a great look. Those different shades of green and all the random dye marks. And here's a wallet that's been one of my favorites from this year, and it's sad that it's irregular. Color number 4 shell cordovan on the outside. What a beautiful shade that is. It's a really nice medium brown with reddish undertones. You can see a little bit of a blem right here on the outside of this wallet. We also have cream color stitching on the outside, and here's what I love on the interior. This play off those two tones again. We've got color for horsehide latigo on top of natural latigo, and they alternate for these card slots. Here's a look at a shop-worn wallet, and this is actually my favorite shell color. This is amaretto shell cordovan. You can see as this wallet's even been mildly worn, it has really developed a great look. So nice, this amaretto shell cordovan. And as you see, as I turn it and tilt it and even spin it around, that color has an incredible depth to it. Very nice orangey tan shade, and some angles a little bit more reddish and brown. On the interior of this one, you can see a little bit more of the usage on the left here. That card holder has been definitely used. This is reverse color 8 shell cordovan for the inside. And one more Johnny the Fox to show you. This is natural shell cordovan. This is our current most popular shell cordovan color. Really nice neutral lighter shade, and some angles again it sort of has that more like caramel sort of shade to it. It definitely has a depth of color even in the natural where there's no stain applied. Those fibers in the shell are pointing a certain direction, so you get bits of lighter and darker shades depending on what angle you look at it. So there are some small scuffs and scratches on this wallet, and on the interior again we have reverse color 8 shell cordovan. Here's a wallet again in my favorite shell cordovan color, the amaretto shell cordovan. Really nice orangey tan shade. This is on our Gus Card case. This one has an unfortunate issue where the stitching here has gone through the back unevenly, so you can see the stitches actually ended up on the edge of the wallet instead of on the back. We don't expect this one to break apart, so it's definitely more of a cosmetic issue, and there's also some little small issues in the leather itself. Let's get into some Capone money clips, color 8 Dublin again, and you can see as the leather has wrapped around the hardware of this, we're revealing a little bit more of those burgundy tones, which is great to see. I love the depth of color, and the color 8 Dublin, again, this is another one of those that doesn't really translate well in photos and videos. Beautiful leather and beautiful color. So we've got color 8 Dublin on the inside and the outside, and we also have an antique brass spring bar money clip. Another Capone money clip here. This is an epic character on this piece only for English Tan Dublin. Really cool color on English Tan Dublin. It sort of reminds me of my favorite shell shade, that amaretto shell cordovan. English Tan is a really well-wearing leather. It definitely ages to a very great patina. Darker in color and a little bit brighter and more shiny in luster. Another Capone here in natural chrome excel. You can see a little bit of this epic grain character that we've got going on the exterior. And I love these random sort of wrinkle texture looks. I don't really know what to call it on a wallet, but in the tannery we call that a little bit more of like a shrunken grain. And it's very, very nice. On the inside of this, we also have that epic natural. Another Capone, but this time in shell cordovan. We've got black shell cordovan Capone money clip with a waxed and burnished edge. There's no staining for the edges of this wallet. We also have black shell cordovan for the interior. Two more shell Capones to look at. Natural shell cordovan here. Really beautiful shade for the natural shell. It's sad that this is an irregular as well. Some small scuffs and scratches. And here's the last Capone money clip, the classic color number 8 shell cordovan. dark brown burgundy shade. It's almost like a dark cherry at certain angles, and other angles it lightens up a little bit. You reveal a little bit more of these reddish tones. On the interior of this one, we also have Color 8 Shell Cordovan. We have one of our passport field notes holders to show you. This is reverse black Shell Cordovan with incredible dye marks on it, and of course, a really nice Horween Shell Cordovan ink stamp cut right into the outside right of this wallet. It's a very cool look on the outside, and sometimes when we're cutting these reverse pieces, we forget to look at the other side. And this is where you're going to see the blem. On the shell side of the wallet here, there's actually little bits of openness in the shell, a little bit of a blem in the leather that is just not up to our normal standards. On the interior, we also have those incredible random dye marks on the left, as well as a little bit more of a subtle look on the right. Now here's a couple more passport holders that are different from our new passport holder design. This is something we call the World Traveler. It's based on our Fat Herbie design, but without a bill slot on the outside. So you can see here, just one big clean piece of leather with a stitch right here to separate the card holders on the inside. And on the right, we've got an open card slot where you can actually drop your passport inside of this flap. This is actually the passport holder that I've been wearing for the last 10 years, and I really enjoy it. This particular World Traveler passport holder is made in a leather that we're not currently making wallets with. This is brown chrome excel, and it's kind of making me wish we had more brown chrome excel to make stuff out of. And one more World Traveler to look at, this time in natural chrome excel. You can see really nice piece of natural chrome excel on the outside. It's a little bit darker, and the interior even more dark for natural chrome excel, but as I flex it, the tones underneath are much lighter and a little bit more ivory in color. So this is where you can drop your passport in on the right side, and on the left side you can put in your travel cards. So I have like an airport lounge card that I put inside of mine. Let's get into some Fat Herbies. We're almost into football season here, so we've got a football Fat Herbie. It's a really great look, and a lot of people don't know that football leather starts off pretty red. It's not very brown when they deliver the footballs to the players, and they actually apply their own little bits of tack, which makes the leather a little bit darker. And on the interior of this Fat Herbie, we have more of the football leather. The interesting thing about the football is actually kind of difficult to finish the edges. So I'm not a huge fan of how the edges turn out on the football. Another Fat Herbie to look at in a leather that's become a fan favorite, Cobalt Blue Dublin. This is a pretty dark piece of the Cobalt Blue, but as I run my finger underneath, we do see a little bit more of these aqua colors from inside of the leather. It's a great look on the Cobalt Blue Dublin. There are some scuffs and scratches on the inside and outside of this wallet. Another Fat Herbie to look at, also in the classic Color 8 Shell Cordovan. This is a really great color. It's another one of those that's pretty difficult for me to show in photos and videos because it's very directional and it's pretty subtle. So some angles definitely darker, almost black at certain angles, but if you look at it like this, you can definitely see more of those reddish burgundy shades coming from inside. It's a really great shade. This is also irregular for some small scuffs and scratches. And here's a look at the interior where we have more Color 8 Shell Cordovan. Another Shell Cordovan Fat Herbie in the other classic color, black Shell Cordovan this time. So sometimes it's a good opportunity for me to really show how the Color 8 is not black at all. So on my right hand, obviously much darker, more of a true black. On the left side, Color 8, definitely different than black shell. So this one also has some cosmetic issues, little bits of irregularities that have earned a little bit of a discount in the price. We also have black Shell Cordovan for the interior. Up next is another Fat Herbie. However, this is one of the mildly worn, shop-worn Fat Herbies in natural Shell Cordovan. It's a really great look. If you're looking for patina, this is a good one to start off with. And I also really like the irregular items, so people can check out these wallets for themselves without paying full price. The Fat Herbie isn't necessarily for everybody. I find this to be the best back pocket wallet around, but everybody's a little bit different, so this would be a good chance to try it out. And I have two more Fat Herbies to show you. This next one here, you can hear the squeak. It's pretty squeaky on this guy. That's what every piece of veg will sound like at a certain point in time. That does tend to mild out after it's been worn a bit. So natural Shell Cordovan on the outside, our most popular Shell Cordovan color. A lot of people choose this one because they want to see that color just develop and change into something different. This does get darker and more golden brown, and a little bit brighter and shinier in depths of luster. On the interior of this, we also have natural Shell Cordovan, and here's the last Fat Herbie. This is a great comparison. So natural shell on the left and raw natural on the right. I really like raw natural Shell Cordovan because it starts off this dull luster. It does have like a very mild sheen to it, but if you really want to put your own personal stamp onto one of our wallets, this is the one to do it with because the raw natural Gives you all the range of color and all the range of luster to develop on your own. So we do see these age to be a little bit more like the normal shell. See how bright and shiny mirror-like sheen this one has? The raw natural will also develop to be that look. It's very sad to see this one because we've got little bits of dirt or dark spots on the outside of this raw natural Herbie, and on the interior we also have more raw natural shell cordovan. Wow, we got a lot more stuff to look at. We also have some Tony the Ants and Bugs Moran to look at. Before we get to those other wallets, this is a one-shot card case, also in the natural shell cordovan. Little bits of scuffs and scratches on that one. Here's another one-shot card case in the Color 8 shell cordovan. A really nice look here. This is a great front pocket wallet. And speaking of front pocket wallets, this is a Frank the Enforcer in black shell cordovan. You'll notice this one has our older stamp. We switched away from this stamp with the A circle on the front of the Frank because we thought it was a little bit more of a minimalist wallet and we wanted a little bit more of a minimalist vibe. You can see a little bit of a crease mark on the top of this. Here's a look at the backside with one thumb notch card holder. Here's another Frank the Enforcer. You can see this is the stamp that we've sort of favored as opposed to the older one here. A little bit more of a minimalist stamp on this black shell cordovan Frank the Enforcer. All the edges are also waxed and burnished, so we don't have a stained edge. Here's another Frank, also in the classic Color 8 shell cordovan. The new stamp, of course. It's a really great wallet for putting folded cash in the center slot here. So US dollars will fit folded in half there. Here's an irregular from a private stock event we did a bit ago. This is magenta shell cordovan, which is a great shade, on top of marbled blue shell cordovan card holders on the top. And on the backside, we have the same here with magenta shell cordovan on top of marbled blue. Here's a natural shell cordovan, Frank the Enforcer. And this one has like a little gap in the card holder here, which I don't absolutely love. Another Frank, and I think this is a great option for the Frank the Enforcer. This is the Stone Horsehide Latigo. It's a little bit thinner. And then on something like this design where it's a very minimalist vibe, I like a thinner leather. So the Horsehide Latigo is a perfect option for that. Here's a Frank the Enforcer in our most popular leather and color right now, English Tan Dublin. It's totally beautiful. This one is irregular because I think we put the wrong monogram on the outside. So this one has JAK with an exclamation point. It's really a bummer that we couldn't get this into a customer's hand, so maybe you can pick this one up if your initials are JAK. Here's another shop worn piece, or I'm gonna call it that, even though I think this has just got caught in a machine or something. Definitely got wrinkled up on the front of this Color 8 Dublin Frank the Enforcer. This one will be getting a little bit of an extra discount, which I think is a good deal because you won't pay full price, and this is something that will just normalize. After you wear it just for a little bit, that should flatten out and even out. Another shop worn Frank the Enforcer. I want to put these up so people can check out the Frank the Enforcer for themselves. This is something that they've been considering. This will also be up for an extra discount because it's definitely been used. Natural chrome excel on this has really aged nicely. Really like the look of this on the front and on the back. We do have an irregular lighter sheath. This is in natural shell cordovan. There's a little bit of a scratch on the top outside. We have one Vic Snap wallet in the batch today. This is black shell cordovan. Now we can get into some Bugs Morans and Frank the Enforcers. Natural shell cordovan here on a Bugs Moran is a really great leather. It's kind of a bummer that we've got a small scuff and scratch in that one. Here's another Bugs in black shell cordovan this time. A little bits of hazy spots on the top here. And on the interior, we also have black shell cordovan. Here's a fun one. This must have been a private stock. Western Color 8 shell cordovan on the outside. Really great look with the texture on that Color 8 shell. And on the interior, we have reverse Color 8 shell cordovan. Here's another Bugs Moran with reverse Color 8 shell cordovan. This time it's all reverse. So we've got reverse on the outside with a great Horween shell cordovan stamp and reverse on the inside with another shell cordovan stamp. And here's the shell side. Color 8 shell cordovan for this Bugs Moran. Classic Color 8 has that burgundy dark brown color to it. And speaking of Color 8, this is the counterpart. So this is Color 8 Dublin. Let's compare those very quickly. So shell on my right, Dublin on the left. And the Dublin definitely has much more grain character to it because it is a full grain leather where the shell has no grain at all. It's actually just that membrane underneath the skin. And that membrane is very smooth and bright and shiny. So looking here, we've tried to replicate the same color of the shell cordovan onto the Dublin. And all the Dublin leather, I should mention, is tanned using the same tree barks as that famous shell cordovan. And here's a vertical Bugs Moran in a leather that we do not have any longer. This is Color 8 Chrome Excel. Actually, this version of Chrome Excel I remember is a little bit lighter than most of the other Color 8s that we've seen before. It's almost like a cherry shade at certain angles. Here's a look at the vertical card slots on the inside. It seems like a lot of people have been interested in this card layout for the Bugs Moran. And here's a tall Tony the Ant. I actually was just looking at my my note here that says the edges need to get finished. But this is a great piece. So we've got black Dublin on the outside with a tall bill slot that goes all the way to the top, and it's a really, really great look. It allows us to do this on the inside. We get this clean, consistent look of black Dublin all through the card holders as well as the center section. And we got 6 more wallets to look at. A lot of stuff in the video today. Really great look inside and out. There are cosmetic issues, small scuffs and scratches on most of these. Here's another one, natural chrome excel this time. That's a really nice looking piece of chrome excel. Really wet look on this particular piece, which is not always the case. Usually it's a little bit more of a subtle luster. And here's a look at another Tony the Ant in English Tan Dublin. Really great grain character on this particular piece, with some additional English Tan Dublin on the inside. Black shell cordovan for this Tony the Ant. That's a really sleek look for the black shells. And this one is particularly thin, much thinner than most of the shell cordovan wallets that we do. On the interior, we have reverse black shell cordovan, which is a greenish shade, and that can be pretty confusing, but the reverse side of the black shell is green. Now here's a confusing one. I almost called this color 8 for a second. This is color 8 on top of cigar, and I think this was a mistake. We should not have put the color 8 there. We were trying to make these in the dark, I guess. So we've got a 2-tone Tony the Ant color 8 shell cordovan on top of cigar shell cordovan. And you can see the cigar is much more of a true brown. Not much of the burgundy or reddish tones in there at all. Here's a look at the inside where we have all cigar shell cordovan for the interior. And the last wallet of the Irregular Sale, we've got natural shell cordovan on the outside of this Tony the Ant. It's a really great shade. And I just get mesmerized as I spin it around how that color changes and reflects the light in different ways. Very fascinating to look at. And on the interior, we have more natural shell cordovan. So man, now I have a table full of stuff. So many good pieces in the Irregular Sale. If you have any questions about anything, definitely let me know. Until next time, I hope you have a good one.